You cannot even imagine what is hidden underground right beneath our feet. Secret cities, vanished civilizations, relics concealed from the Nazis, and even a luxurious sports car buried in the middle of an ordinary home's yard. Today on Top Facts, we are setting off into the subterranean world. Who buried a mammoth with its entire skeleton intact? Why was a walrus interred together with people in the heart of London? And is it really true that an ancient icy city is hiding beneath Antarctica? These are not merely discoveries, they are genuine mysteries that could rewrite the history of humankind. Most of us have a hobby. Sometimes that passion has nothing to do with one's profession, yet on occasion it leads to astonishing discoveries. A 56-year-old Belgian man named Vincent Michel, a physical education teacher who loved exploring abandoned places, proved this in 2016. He traveled to France to inspect one such deserted mine. At first, everything seemed ordinary, but after walking through a long tunnel, he entered an enormous chamber and witnessed a truly fantastic sight. A cemetery of vintage automobiles. Several dozen cars from the 1930s stood in rows as if frozen in anticipation. Alas, the condition of the finds was pitiful. Almost nothing had survived inside. Nevertheless, the very fact of such a discovery stunned Vincent, and upon returning home, he shared it with the press. Later it emerged that most of the cars had belonged to local residents and were likely hidden after Adolf Hitler opened the Western Front. Trying to save their property from seizure, people drove the vehicles into the mine. Over time, they rusted away and became unusable, and the owners probably perished or forgot about them. Judging by the empty shells, Vincent was not the first to locate the site. Yet his story rekindled interest in wartime secrets tucked away underground. Almost 80 years have passed since the end of the Second World War, yet its traces still surface in the most unexpected places. Thus, in December 2016, workers in Augsburg, Germany, unearthed a huge, unexploded bomb from the war right in the city center. The danger was real. Authorities decided to neutralize the device, but that required the evacuation of 54,000 people, almost one-third of the city's population. The operation was scheduled for Christmas and, according to officials, was a kind of gift, an opportunity to celebrate the holiday in safety. From early morning, a mass evacuation began. Roughly 900 police officers were deployed, along with transport to move hospital patients, elderly residents, and clergy. Schools and sports halls served as temporary shelters, while sappers worked in the deserted downtown. Specialists soon reported that the bomb was a so-called blockbuster, weighing 2 tons, one of the most destructive types dropped by the Royal Air Force. Had it exploded, it could have obliterated everything within a radius of 1.5 kilometers. Fortunately, the defusing operation succeeded, and just 2 hours later, the residents were allowed to return home. Sometimes the most incredible discoveries happen right under our noses, literally next to home. Such was the case in 1978 in Los Angeles, where a group of children gathered in the yard of a house to play. This time, they fancied digging in the soil, so armed with little spades, they began to excavate a hole. At some point, the youngsters struck a strange piece of plastic, and a bit later, something far more unexpected. Beneath the layer of earth lay an actual automobile. After exposing a metal body panel, the children rushed to inform their parents. Detectives soon arrived. Continuing the dig, they discovered with amazement an almost new green Ferrari 246 GTS, carefully buried underground. Naturally, the main question arose: how had this expensive sports car ended up beneath a suburban lawn? Police began an investigation, checked the car's numbers, and learned that its owner was a certain Rosento Cruz, who had given the vehicle to his wife for her birthday. The problem was that the automobile had been reported stolen the day after purchase, and the thief had never been caught. Unraveling the mystery took time, but tenacious detectives eventually saw the case through. Then a startling fact emerged. The theft had been staged. Rosento Cruz himself had arranged the robbery to collect insurance money, and he had painstakingly hidden the Ferrari underground, hoping one day to dig it up again. Everything almost worked, were it not for a group of curious children whose innocent play exposed a cunning fraud. In the very heart of Vietnam hides a natural wonder unmatched anywhere on Earth. Sun Joong Cave is the largest in the world by volume. Its interior world is mind-boggling. A total capacity of 38.5 million cubic meters, ceilings up to 250 meters high, and a width of roughly 150 meters. Despite this grandeur, the cave remained unknown to science until quite recently. Local people found the entrance in 1991, but only in 2009 did researchers from the United Kingdom reach the site. What they saw inside left them speechless. Deep within the cave had formed a genuine hidden world with its own microclimate. An ancient subterranean river flows here, enabling a unique ecosystem to develop over millions of years. Owing to the special humidity and warmth, Sun Joong boasts gigantic stalagmites up to 70 meters tall, and clouds gather beneath the roof. Yet the most impressive discovery was a true underground forest. The trees reach 3 meters in height, and among the foliage live hundreds of animal species, from flying foxes to rare birds and insects. Some plant and fungus species found here were previously unknown to science. Vietnamese authorities allow visits to this marvel, but have strictly limited tourist numbers to no more than 500 people per year. Such a measure is essential to preserve the fragile ecosystem of this astonishing place, for before us lies not merely a cave, but an entire world lost in Earth's depths. In 2003, a large-scale reconstruction of St. Pancras Station in London began. As part of the work, a nearby cemetery had to be relocated. It was during this process that workers stumbled upon a truly strange burial, which soon made world headlines. Inside one grave, they found a damaged coffin. Alongside human remains lay large bones that defied quick identification. The bones were passed to anthropologists who could not determine their origin and turned to zoologists. These specialists established that the bones belonged to a Pacific walrus, an animal of impressive size, far exceeding normal species parameters. How had a walrus ended up in central London and interred in a coffin with humans? After dating the burial to between 1822 and 1854, it became clear this was no accident. In the same coffin lay the remains of 3 people, one skull showing signs of trepanation, surgical intervention, leading to the theory that it was the result of scientific experiments. All indications pointed to a medical burial. Later scientists discovered that in 1853, the renowned British biologist Richard Owen had indeed performed a walrus dissection in London. This information supported the hypothesis of a medical origin. Yet why the walrus bones were placed in one coffin with humans remains an open question to this day. Miners often become the first witnesses of archaeological sensations. Such was the case in 2024 when, during coal extraction in North Dakota, workers unexpectedly uncovered a giant mammoth tusk. Operations were halted and archaeologists arrived. The tusk was sent to a laboratory where it was dated to roughly 50,000 years. Suspecting more remains nearby, scientists searched further. And they were right. Soon, over 20 fragments were found beneath the soil: ribs, a tooth, parts of a femur, all belonging to a single mammoth. These animals appeared on Earth about 5 million years ago and died out roughly 5 to 10,000 years ago. They were ancestors of modern elephants, stood 5 to 6 meters tall, and weighed about 11 tons. Despite their size, mammoths were herbivores and lived peacefully. Initially, they inhabited Africa, later spreading across Eurasia and North America. Their extinction is partly linked to the emergence of humans. Hunting was among the causes of their disappearance. The North Dakota find became a true sensation. According to experts, it is the most complete mammoth skeleton ever discovered in that region. Some scientific projects sound like fiction, yet they nevertheless become reality. In the 1960s, the USSR launched a unique experiment. Soviet geologists decided to drill a borehole that would bring them closer to Earth's core. They chose the Kola Peninsula for this ambitious project because it lies on an ancient, crystalline shield more than 3 billion years old. Work began in 1970. Initially, drilling progressed quickly. In just 9 years, a depth of more than 9.5 kilometers was reached. Then serious problems arose. The drill broke, and the bore walls began to crumble. Despite technical difficulties, drilling continued, and in 1990, geologists attained a depth of 12,262 meters, the deepest point ever created by humans. Even the Mariana Trench is more than 4 kilometers shorter vertically. By 1994, the drilling was finally halted. Extreme temperatures and pressure made further progress impossible. Nonetheless, scientists obtained a wealth of valuable data about Earth's crust composition, the presence of subterranean water, and thermal processes in the planet's interior. Today, the Kola Superdeep Borehole remains a unique site that still inspires admiration and debate. The Paris catacombs are among the most mysterious and eerie places in the French capital. They are strictly guarded, yet even today, truly uncanny things occur in their dark corridors. In 2004, a squad of Paris police responsible for catacomb security set out on a routine inspection of one tunnel leading from Trocadero. At the entrance, they encountered a sign that read, "Building works in progress. Entry forbidden." No repair works had been reported in that area, which immediately aroused suspicion. Ignoring the warning, they continued and, after only a few steps, found themselves in another world. Surveillance cameras and loudspeakers emitting dog barks were installed along the tunnel, but the main enigma awaited at the end. Inside one chamber stood a fully fledged cinema with a large screen, audience seats, and an adjacent bar stocked with alcohol and provisions. As if that were not enough, this clandestine zone had electricity and even 3 telephone lines. Stunned, the police returned to base to report the discovery. Yet when they came back with reinforcements, the cinema had already been abandoned. The wires were cut, and a sinister inscription on the wall proclaimed, "Do not meddle in our affairs." Finding out who had organized the underground venue proved impossible. According to the police, such secret spots regularly appear in the catacombs, and combating them is no easy task. Even in the 21st century, the catacombs keep their secrets. People have always felt the urge to leave a trace for future generations. Some threw bottles with messages into the ocean, others carved inscriptions on cave walls. In Oklahoma in 1957, they devised a truly original time capsule and placed a car inside it. The city administration of Tulsa decided, why not leave the descendants something genuinely luxurious? The Plymouth Car Company obliged, donating a brand new gold-colored Belvedere coupe equipped with the most advanced technology of the time. The car was sealed in a hermetic vault, along with a national flag, newspapers, a little petrol, and even $100. The prize was to go to the person who could guess Tulsa's population in 2007. Exactly 50 years passed. On the appointed day, a crowd gathered in the square. The capsule was opened, and instead of a gleaming automobile of the future, a rusty heap of metal emerged from the ground. The protective shell had failed against groundwater, and the magnificent Plymouth had become a monument to unfulfilled hopes. The lottery winner was no longer alive, and the prize went to his younger sister. She received the remains of the legendary vehicle, some antique items, and $100 long, eroded by inflation. Nevertheless, the story of Miss Belvedere lives on, a reminder that past and future are always linked, even through a rusty capsule. Modern cities strive upward. Skyscrapers are their symbols. Yet in ancient times, people chose another path and built their settlements beneath the ground. One of the most striking examples of such subterranean architecture is the city of Derinkuyu in Turkey. It was discovered accidentally in 1963, and ever since historians have puzzled over who built this grand underground complex and when. Some data place its construction between the second and the first millennia B.C. Certain scholars are sure it was the work of the Phrygians. Others insist it belonged to the Hittites and was erected around 1900 B.C. Whatever the case, Derinkuyu astounds with its scale. 8 levels, each with its own defense system. Narrow passages, massive doors about 40 centimeters thick and weighing more than half a ton, hidden tunnels. All Kikorks Kriyaishitasori Herit. A genuine labyrinth in which it is easy to bewilder an enemy. The city was designed not only as a refuge but also as a fully fledged place of life. There were residential quarters, granaries, weapon stores, stables, and even temples. It is believed that up to 20,000 people could live in Derinkuyu simultaneously, despite the lower levels lying more than 60 meters deep. The city has a sophisticated ventilation system that still functions. Most astonishing of all, Derinkuyu was linked by a tunnel to another underground city, Kamikli. This shows that ancient inhabitants not only hid from threats, but also created a genuine network of subterranean settlements with an evacuation system. The uniqueness of Derinkuyu continues to impress even the most experienced archaeologists. Few people know that directly beneath the streets of modern San Francisco rest hundreds of old sailing ships. This amazing story begins with the gold rush of 1849. In January 1848, a carpenter named James Marshall accidentally discovered gold near the Sierra Nevada mountains. Word of the find spread worldwide and forever changed the city's fate. Before that, fewer than 1,000 people lived in San Francisco, mostly indigenous residents. By the end of 1849, the population exceeded 100,000. The influx of fortune seekers was so overwhelming that arriving sailors simply abandoned their vessels in the bay and hurried off to seek gold. Many never achieved success and left, the ships left to rust. Some enterprising residents began using the abandoned vessels as real estate, hauling them ashore and turning them into buildings. Thus, for example, the famous Niantic Hotel appeared. Later, following the devastating fire of 1851, many ships sank. However, crafty townsfolk found a way to profit even from this. Local laws allowed anyone owning a sunken vessel to claim the parcel of land beneath it. Consequently, the bay was filled in and the ships became entombed underground. Today, during the construction of metro lines, car parks, and stations, remains of these craft are still being found. While building the Segway station, for instance, workers discovered the whaling ship Lydia with dozens of bottles of ginger beer in its hold. One metro section even runs directly through the hull of an old 60-meter ship, and most tourists have no idea. The ancient city of Pompeii has long been a symbol of tragedy and, at the same time, an archaeological sensation. In the year 79 AD, an eruption of Vesuvius buried the city in layers of volcanic ash and pyroclastic flows within mere hours. People could not escape, and their lives froze forever in stone. Pompeii was forgotten for almost 1,500 years until 1599, when it was accidentally found during canal construction. Large-scale excavations did not begin until 1748, when it became clear that volcanic ash is a perfect natural preservative capable of keeping objects in astounding condition. Since then, archaeologists have ceaselessly explored Pompeii, and every find becomes a window into the lives of ancient Romans. For example, in 1895, the so-called Bosco Real treasure was discovered in the Villa Pisanella. More than 100 silver vessels, 1,000 gold coins, and a unique cup depicting the triumph of Emperor Tiberius. Among other artifacts is an early Christian chamber with a four-armed cross, a wooden altar, and items used for the Eucharist. This is one of the earliest known Christian prayer spaces. Perhaps the most poignant testimonies of city life are the plaster casts of the victims, with faces, folds of clothing, and hairstyles preserved. They have forever captured the last moments of their owners. At the end of 2024, British scientists made a sensational discovery that so far few people know about. Using the latest radar equipment, they examined the Antarctic ice sheet and accidentally detected, beneath the thickness of ice, a hidden cave inside which lies an entire city carved from ice. The cave is situated at a depth of more than 100 meters, making direct access impossible at present. Research is still being conducted remotely, yet scientists are already preparing a full expedition. Plans include installing special sensors in the cave and gathering data on the structure of the icy city. According to available information, dozens of structures stand in this unusual place, domed with towers, spires, and arches. Some reach 30 meters in height. Most intriguing is that they are arranged in a strict layout. Streets, squares, a clear plan. This resembles a creation of intelligent beings far more than a random act of nature. If the hypothesis is confirmed and the city truly proves to be man-made, scientists will have to find out not only who built it and when, but also why it was hidden beneath Antarctica. This discovery could overturn our understanding of humanity's history and of vanished civilizations. The Second World War left behind not only ruins and scars in the memory of generations, but also countless cultural treasures that were lost. Occupying forces removed everything of value: works of art, relics, precious metals. Church bells, usually cast from bronze and extremely heavy, held special value for the Nazis. In 1940, Reichsmarschall Hermann Göring issued a decree to collect metal throughout Germany. Later, the order extended to occupied territories. Everywhere the Wehrmacht appeared, bells were taken from churches. Stopping this was impossible. Parishioners could only watch as their holy objects were carried away. But one Polish priest did not accept this fate. Together with his parishioners, he removed a bronze bell weighing 150 kilograms from the steeple and buried it near the church. For decades, the relic remained hidden from the world, until 2021, when workers laying pipes stumbled upon a strange metal object. When it was unearthed, it became clear they had found that very bell. It now resides in a museum as a symbol of faith, courage, and resistance to tyranny. Its story reminds us of dark times and of how, even in the cruelest years, people tried to preserve what was truly dear to them. Among the most ancient and mysterious finds in human history, the Klerksdorp spheres hold a special place. These small, rounded objects with characteristic grooves on their surfaces were discovered by miners in South Africa near the town of Klerksdorp. Their age is astonishing, more than 3 billion years. They appeared long before life arose on the planet, spawning many theories. Outwardly, they look as though artificially made. Perfect shape, parallel lines, symmetrical features. Naturally, this led to hypotheses about extraterrestrial intervention. Scientists, however, undertook thorough study. Analyses showed the spheres consist of hematite, wollastonite, and pyrite. Their structure displays radial fiber distribution from center to edges, indicating a natural mineralogical origin. Even so, many people still believe in their alien creation, and no one can yet say for certain what forces shaped such unusual forms billions of years ago. Sometimes a seemingly accidental discovery unlocks an entire epoch. This happened in 1931 in the very heart of Rome, near the magnificent Circus Maximus. During construction work, laborers unexpectedly encountered an underground structure. Archaeologists who arrived on site were amazed. Before them lay an almost perfectly preserved temple dedicated to one of the most enigmatic ancient gods, Mithras. This temple, a Mithraeum, dates to the 2nd or 3rd century AD. The architecture astonished researchers. 5 parallel halls, 2 massive staircases leading directly to the circus, and many rooms with clear cultic purposes. The entrance on the eastern side led into an atrium where niches contained images of cult figures, Kots and Kautopates. Beyond were assembly halls whose marble floors and interior elements survived. In the main hall, a semicircular niche once held a statue of Mithras. The most valuable artifact found on site was a bas-relief depicting the bull-slaying scene. Mithras plunges a sword into the animal while symbols of the sun, moon, raven, and other mystical elements surround him. On the left side of the relief continues the rite. The god carries the slain bull on his shoulders. This is not merely a narrative. It is an entire story encoded in stone that helps historians understand how rites were performed in one of the most mysterious religious movements of ancient Rome. Today, the Mithraeum by the Circus Maximus is open to visitors, though entry is by advance reservation only. It is not just a tourist attraction. It is a time capsule preserving the spiritual life of the classical world, and all of it lies literally beneath the feet of modern Romans. That concludes today's episode. And yes, friends, beneath the ground, you truly can find anything at all. If you enjoyed the video and would like to support us, do not hesitate to share your opinion in the comments below. They help us immensely with promotion. Right now, you can watch our 2 previous episodes, which have already appeared on your screen. Thank you for watching, and subscribe to the TopFacts channel.